As I was growing up, my father was a pensioner, so he was a bit older than my mother, I think 23 years old. My mother used to love us. She did everything for us, while my father did nothing for us. We were not in good terms from my father at an early stage. I used to get in a lot of trouble. I used to fight a lot with bigger men. If you know the streets of KwaMashu, at that time I used to fight a lot. So that is how I grew up with my sibling. Lungelo is a 30-year-old male who was born in Mlazi, moved to KwaMashu when he was 2 years old. I am an author. I wrote a book while I was still incarcerated in 2015. So I wrote a book while I was still inside the prison walls. I am also a motivational speaker, where I started motivating while I was still inside the prison walls. I was taken out and I went to places like the City Hall, where I motivated school kids, the community, hundreds and thousands of people, telling the school kids not to use drugs and alcohol because it led me to be in prison. The word that best describes me is the word blessed, because of my life experiences, what I've went through in life. I am here today because of them, and God has kept me till today. If I look at my life before till now, it is God's grace that I'm still alive. I was born by both my parents. They were married, and my young brother. As I was growing up, my father was a pensioner, so he was a bit older than my mother, I think 23 years old. My mother used to love us. She did everything for us, while my father did nothing for us. We were not in good terms from my father at an early stage. My mother took us to best schools, yet my father didn't want that. Even if we wanted clothes, Christmas clothes or whatever clothes. So from that point, we were not in good terms with my father. There came a time where my younger brother passed away, and then 6 months later my mother passed away. I knew how my relationship with my father was going to be. I expected him to react in that way. We stayed in the same house, but a week would pass without me seeing him or him seeing me. So I didn't even eat from the house. He didn't know what's going on in my life. We started like carrying knives, taking people's cell phones. At that particular time, I wanted to fund my alcohol habits. So from that point, I was introduced to a lot of things. We moved to robbery. Some of the guys came with guns. We started going to some houses, taking their cars, money, and then we gallivanting, doing all sort of things we can think about while we're still young. We have guns, we have money that we don't even own. We just take it from anyone. My father passed away, and then I was left with my parents' house. We were partying with my friends every single day, Monday to Monday. Even when the time my father passed away, I didn't care at all about my father. I did a lot of things while he passed away because there was no connection between me and him. He was like a stranger to me. I was very angry because he was never there for me. All this happened while I was still in high school. I failed grade 8, did grade 8 again. I enrolled in a technical college where I studied from home, which eventually I didn't even study. My mother paid, but I didn't even study. I did a lot of things with those with that particular year. I was around 16. I was involved in politics, DJing, club DJ, radio DJ. I even got shot while I was coming from a club. While I didn't do anything, but it was a misfire, and I was admitted in hospital. That year, where I started doing a lot of things and being introduced to a lot of things. I went back to high school because I took an advice from someone that I can never do anything without matric. So I went back to school, and I went to schools around my township. The pride that I had to take it away, because from the schools that I was coming from to the township schools, it's different. But I had a focus, and I did very well in school until I got my matric. As I was doing those things, robbing people, I was still going to school though, having money in school, but study. I made sure I study, I do homework till I completed my matric. While I was still at home, because I was not working, I think it was after December 2009, I met a woman in some Chisanyama, and then this woman was on drugs. I didn't know at that time. We became involved. The time she came, she offered to pay me 5,000 rand just to smoke cocaine with her for 1 weekend. Hey, I needed the money, so why not for 1 weekend? And she even said she will sponsor me if I get addicted. She paid me, I took the money home, we give it a try. She withdrew more money just to spend on alcohol for that particular weekend, plus drugs. So I got addicted at that time. So everywhere I used to go with her, spend a lot of money on drugs, alcohol, go to top events, introduced to clothing, went to best restaurant. So that was my life at that particular time. I knew drugs, ecstasy, alcohol, cocaine. I was extreme. Stay tuned on High Definition with Lungelo Shandu.
Hello, I'm the new C-Flips. My creators call me 2.0 because I recently got the makeover my fans had been waiting for. This has got them going, wow, cool, because now they can do this and do that and do that one. Oh yes, that one too. I'm much more powerful. This means you can do this and try to beat that. Moving through my sections and finding things are no longer a puzzle. Because you love being social, I was built to help you connect with others. So now, you can follow him as she follows you. Watching videos is definitely an experience you'd love. You can do this while you watch. A teens program doesn't feel like a teens program anymore. Proud of your teens, I'm sure.
Sure.
My fans now say that with me, you can achieve anything. So yeah, everything has changed.
You are still watching High Definition with Lungelo Shandu. I met a woman. She used to come at my place. I grew in love with her. One day, I got a call from my friends telling me that we are seeing a woman somewhere here, and there are guys, they are drinking, all those stuff. And the way I was so angry, I spoke the words. I told her that if she does something like this, I would beat her and she would die, and I would go to prison. Hence, at that time I was drunk, very emotional. I never knew what was happening. I just spoke those words. I was not violent. I didn't even touch her. Right. Then I went to her house. I didn't find her. And then I made one phone call. That one phone call told me exactly where she was. And then I found her in the bedroom naked with my cousin. I was shocked. I was high. I was drunk. I reacted. I started beating up my cousin. And then I moved on to my girlfriend. Beating them both, going to my girlfriend, back to my cousin. And then my cousin eventually managed to run away. And then I continued beating my girlfriend until she fell off the bed. At that time, there were people, they woke up and people came in, but they couldn't stop me because they know that I used to get in a lot of fights. So they were afraid of me, they couldn't stop me. The friends that I was going with, they were calling me, pulling me to come. I've done more damage, but I couldn't listen because of the states that I was in. So they left me. I called someone, they picked me up. I saw an ambulance coming, and then I saw that the damage was bad. The following day, I was still high and drunk. I called a friend of my girlfriend to find out what's happening, and I was told she was in ICU. At that particular time, my head started spinning. I thought about killing myself, because that was the first option. I thought about prison or jail. I've never been there. The damage I've made. I cried a lot. Before even I got to court, the woman passed away in hospital. So I was charged with murder. The first 2 years of my sentence, I continued with doing the bad things I was doing outside. And then the second half of my sentence, where I was introduced to a book, started reading books. I started gaining knowledge because I was clueless about everything the time I came to prison. The only thing I knew well was drugs, alcohol, and women. And as I was reading, it started to transform my life. I used to attend church services, because in prison we have church services each and every single day. And as I was attending those church services, the word got to me. A pastor spoke about another topic, and then when I continued in my room reading the scriptures, the same word strike again. And that was then I decided that I'm changing my life. I'll be born again. I came to realize that all my life there was one thing that stopped me or brought me to where I was. It because of hatred. I didn't forgive my father. That is the start. I didn't forgive myself for the things I did throughout my childhood. I didn't forgive my father. I hated him. And those things led me to where I was at that particular time. I came to realize that I was wrong. I stopped blaming people for my actions. I stopped blaming my father, because I was the one who was taking those bad decisions, because everything comes back to the decisions I was making. So I started healing up, recovering from the word, and Psalms 51:8, it talks a lot about forgiving throughout the scripture, but Psalms 51, I love it. And that is where I started reading more books, started to change my life. I decided to write. In fact, I had already started writing an autobiography about my life, because I didn't want to waste my time in prison. Stay tuned on High Definition with Lungelo Shandu.
In this planet of over 7 billion people, no one's unimportant. See, there's a difference only you can make, be it small or large. No one has the ability to laugh out loud like you do. No one's eyes sparkle like yours when great joy fills your heart. I tell you, absolutely no one has a rejuvenating smile. No one walks like you, no one talks like you, no one can be you. You're one of a kind, a voice to be heard. King's Chat is where you matter most. Download the app right now from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and start kinging.
You are still watching High Definition with Lungelo Shandu. People say that if you're in prison, you're wasting your time. But I was studying. Sometimes you don't even continue your studies because a lot of things happen. People get stabbed, killed inside. So no one is safe while you're in that place. So while I was studying, I was also writing a book, an autobiography about my life. And then this idea of the book that I wrote now, Success and Wealth Through the Bible, the idea came to mind. And then I stopped with the autobiography. And then I started writing this one because the Spirit was leading me. I saw it like it was already done. So I continued, I brainstormed, researched, read books, read the Bible. I kept on writing with an understanding until I finally published my first book. Okay, what inspired the book? As I was getting more insight from the other books I was reading, I got to understand that I was the one who created myself to be in prison. Nothing just happens in this particular life, nothing at all. Everything happens because I created it. It's either consciously or unconsciously. So at that time, I was unconscious about my life. I got to understand that people are suffering in this world because they are creating their own lives unconsciously, with their unconscious mind. Their experiences keep reoccurring to them. So I decided to write this book because I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to give them another look at how to look at life, because I do know if one can read this book, they can be inspired and they can change their life. Because as I'm selling the book, people already are getting response, which makes me happy. If I can change one person's life, because I've been there, I do not want another person to go through the same challenges I went through being in prison. That is not a nice place. So I'm trying to prevent that thing. Or if a youngster can get this book at an early age, we can prevent those things to happen to our generation or our kids that are still coming. Okay, the strategy that I use is very simple. The strategy has always been there. It's just that people do not want to learn. Everything is said in the scriptures, in the Bible. But even myself personally, I didn't take notes before I was incarcerated. I saw a person who carried a Bible as a person who is stupid or dumb. The scripture also tells us we should stand guard on the mind. So I control my mind a lot. I also control what I say, what I speak. So it's what I think, what I say, as Proverbs 18 verse 20 says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. So I make sure I control what I say and my feelings as well. As I was in prison, it's a dark place. I don't see a light. But I did manage to write a book and publish a book. I came out, I was called in radio station, even the second biggest radio station in Africa. I was called in, interviewed, and here I am today, getting my message across. What happened? I planned this long before I got here. While I was going through my challenges, I saw myself, I meditated on myself, on what I wanted. I didn't meditate on the current situation I was facing. I meditated on my future because I knew what I want. I was stepping in faith and I took action. Faith without action is not faith. Mark 9:23 says, anyone who has faith has the power to do anything. That is my strategy, controlling my mind. Do not listen to negative stuff. I make sure I read good stuff, control what I say, my emotions, and I take action. In everything I want to do, I take action and I'm focused. That is the simplest way I can describe my strategy. Other projects that I'm busy with, okay, there are some guys in Inanda, Durban, who invite me to come for motivational talks. We also go to welfares where we talk, I motivate there, we bring food, we bring clothing. That is the project I am currently busy with. And in that particular area in Inanda, I've just discovered that my family played a major role in donating with the land there, and in a place called Africa. And a church was built there called Africa. And I knew then, at that time, as I was told, that I need to continue where my family left off. I have to do something for people. I've decided to start an organization, Sonchikazi Foundation, where I help the needy people. Beside charity work that I do, I also do trading. I trade Forex, and that is another thing that I do. Throughout my experiences, I've realized that people waste something that is so valuable in life, something that you'll never ever regain, and that is time. 10 years later, you wake up, you did nothing with your time. I used to spend my time on alcohol, drugs, and women. The other half of my years, I did nothing with the time. But if I look at now how people spend their time, they spend it on social media, they spend it watching TV, unnecessary things, while they should be watching educational things. They sit and talk with negative people throughout the day, only to find out a year is wasted and we had nothing to gain. Everyone in life has challenges. We all have challenges. It's just that we face them in a different way. You need to know who you are, what do you want in life, and where are you going in life. If you want to go to a mall, it can take you 30 minutes drive or an hour to take a taxi. But if you do not know where are you going, you won't get to that mall because you don't know where you're going. You will wander around or continue driving for the whole year, but you won't get to your destiny because you do not know where you're heading. Know where you're heading. Speak positive words onto your life at all times.